Very first episode of Nick's Amazon Gifts provided by Better Refunds. Better Refunds recovers money in reimbursements owed to FBA sellers and vendors by Amazon. On Nick's Amazon Gifts, Nick will be exploring various topics that will help FBA sellers and vendors grow their business. All right, Nick, it's the first episode. I'm assuming you got a really big topic for us. What do you got?
Amazon advertising, also called retail media.
All right. Now, as me, the guy who literally knows nothing about Amazon except for reimbursements, what does that mean? Because you have Amazon, everyone knows Amazon. There's a reason why their market price goes all the way up, share price. What does that mean, Amazon advertising?
So Amazon advertising is not like traditional, radio advertising or TV advertising. It's primarily advertising your product, which is also tied to your particular brand. So both of them simultaneously on Amazon to your actual consumer base or your actual customers, the ones that you actually want to actually purchase your product above the product or similar products of the competition.
Okay, all right. So, what do you do? What does that mean then to advertise, right? Are you I'm assuming it's advertising to the consumers. So, how exactly does this advertising work?
So it's essentially, Amazon has what you have called the advertising console. And it's basically just a back end function, whether you're selling on Amazon 1P, Vendor Central, or that of Amazon 3P, Seller Central. And it's essentially going in there to set up your actual product, create it basically whatever type of campaign, advertising campaign that you want to set up. There's different types of, we can talk about, Amazon search specifically. There's different types of, advertising options that Amazon actually offers when it comes to sponsored products. It's basically PPC, which is very well known in the industry, sponsored brand video, sponsored display, and there's also some other types of advertisement options on Amazon as well. But this right here is the ones that everyone primarily focuses on, due to the fact that you get your best ROI or return on investment through that. So when it comes to advertising, or the importance of advertising on Amazon, is you really have to advertise and really get your products up from a ranking standpoint, or get your products, say for example, your brand may not be well known, or this product may not be well known, or you may just be launching a new product. There's brands that launch products every day, daily, when it comes to Amazon. So you want to get that product seen as much as possible, so that consumers can see that product, because there's so much competition. I mean, the competition is flooding the market. So you want to get your product seen, so that consumers can actually purchase your product. That is really the basic definition of advertising on that platform. So essentially, how it works, depending on what type of advertising option that you're using, it will determine how that particular ad shows up, either somewhere in the Amazon world. It could be, Amazon mobile, which is very new. It could be, primarily somewhere on the, in your search, or your purchasing or your searching journey. So if you're going to Amazon, let me just break it down for you. You're going to Amazon and say, hey, I might want to go buy a water bottle, or I might want to go buy, some silverware, or I might just want to go buy a casket. They sell that up there now.
They sell caskets on Amazon?
Oh, they do. They do.
Oh,
They actually sell cars now. Amazon signed a contract with I believe it was Hyundai. It was Hyundai or Kia. It was one of the two. I hate to see this in 2 years. Actually, I want to see it in 2 years. 2 to 10 years.
But I won't buy you one. Don't worry.
Okay. It's just like that, though. Depending on whatever you're going up there for. Any of those items, or just anything. When you go up there and you type it in particular, keywords to try to find the product that you're actually looking for, then you're gonna have like different ads shows. And once you plug in, let's say Bose speaker, since I got one in front of me, I'm looking at, and you type that in and you hit search, and then you're gonna see all these different things that's relevant to the keywords, or what you entered into that search. Now, depending on what type of advertising option you're using and how effective you're using it is going to determine, where your product shows up from a sponsor standpoint. So products that are being advertised because they have a sponsored little label underneath that. That basically says this item is being advertised on Amazon. Any products that really just kind of show up anywhere in that ranking or on that search page that doesn't have that something, that's what we call organic or organic ranking, meaning you're not advertising that product. That product is showing up in those search results based on its own, based on some other factors that you're doing on other parts of the in the Amazon world to really promote and sell your product successfully. So it's so essential to really leverage Amazon advertising to really drive increase revenue, increase profitability, and increase market share. So advertising is so important for that. So those reasons, it's different in today's world. You just can't count on just using you have to use every option in your tool belt. When it comes to advertising, you have to run different strategies simultaneously just to see the best results when it comes to ROI. Because one of the more common targeting features on in Amazon advertising is being able to do keyword targeting. That's one of the more well-known options, especially when it pertains to sponsored products, PPC. So when it comes to that, a lot of brands or a lot of companies and businesses, they believe that there's just an unlimited amount of keywords in the world. That's not the case. That's not true. And so when you have that much competition, all of these different brands, your competition included, are all bidding on the same keywords. And essentially, what that does is it's not very cost effective to do that. When you have some, various brands, bidding on the same keywords simultaneously, well, that drives up the cost of the keyword. So, it gets
Right.
more expensive to do business, through that type of strategy. So that's why you have to have multiple strategies, operating, at the very same time. So to get back to what I was saying, to get your best return on investment. And that is a very essential, very important. And you also have to take into consideration, a lot of things that you're doing on the actual product detail page. A lot of brands are like, but what does the product detail page have to do with, that advertising? Amazon is a very sophisticated software. It all works together. It all looks for relevancy. And
So
what's happening.
Amazon will basically take your product can take the information from your product details and use that for, I'm assuming, search, right?
Absolutely. And even go a little bit further than that. And basically, when it comes to a lot of the keywords that you have on the actual, product detail page, let's say, for example, from a copy and content standpoint, the product title is the most important play. So a lot of the, brands, incorporate, most important keywords in there because it works with, Amazon's algorithms better. But in other places, as Amazon gets more sophisticated, and other places on that product detail page as well, what Amazon's algorithms are doing, especially as it relates to that of advertising, is looking at the relevancy. Not just in addition to what you have in your advertising campaigns, but also what you have on your actual product detail page as well, to determine the amount and the type of traffic that's going to be driven to your products online. And here's why that's key. Because if you have irrelevant, keywords in it, you might be getting the wrong traffic. And then you may be driving up your spend. You may be driving up your ACOS. You may be driving up your tacos. All of those benchmarks that you use to determine if your advertising, if your business overall is successful, if your investment dollar is being used in an effective way to really get the ideal return or the return on investment that you want to see. So looking at things sort of your ACOS, to your tacos. I've seen work and help brands get, ACOS and tacos as low as 4% on the ACOS side, 2% on the tacos side. There's a brand that I've worked with, an electronic brand. The actual tacos was less than 1%. Like, how is that possible? It's doable. Each category is different. The
Hmm.
dynamics of each category is different, and the type of strategies that you use, you have to continuously optimize and improve your strategy, your advertising. A lot of brands, David, they just think you just launch these campaigns and you don't touch them. Well, no, that's the wrong thing to do. You have to
Yeah.
continue as Amazon continues to learn and grow and build and become, and learn. You have to do the same. You have to continuously, because here's the thing that happens. You can have a keyword. Let's just take that for example. That's performing at 100 or more capacity, meaning you're really seeing the good return on investment with that one or that set of keywords. And then they'll say 1 year, 2 year, 3 years from now, and you're like, well, this particular campaign is not performing like it used to. Well, that's because it lost, is no longer as relevant as it once was. And here's why: because customer search habits change. Customers change. And as you know, everything, here in America, the American economy, 70% of that is driven by consumers. So when consumers change, you have to change with that. You have to optimize. You have to improve. You have to scale. So that's why you can't have that set it up and leave it alone attitude. No, you have to set it up and you have to go in there daily. You have to go in there weekly. You have to say, "Hey, is this keyword right here doing what I needed to do?" Well, it may cost. It may cost a lot. Well, now got to look at some alternatives. What are some low hanging fruit? What are some some keywords that don't necessarily cost as much? So that is the plan of attack you really have to put forth when it comes to running a successful advertising strategy, because at the end of the day, you only have so many investment dollars. I haven't had ran into a company like, I ran into companies of different sizes, but I haven't ran into a company that say, "Hey, we just have, we'll write a blank check." Now, I have ran into companies saying, "Hey, as long as we're seeing the type of results that we want to see,
Right.
measured by, the type of ACOS we want to see, or the type of tacos that we want to see, or the type of ROAS and so on based on benchmark, we don't mind spending. We don't mind investing, but we have to see those type of results that we want to see." And that's why it's so important that you scale, that you optimize, and that you continuously to work those advertising campaigns, for not only for to get the drive your revenue, but to also make sure that the revenue that you're driving is also coming with a very nice return on investment.
So let me look. I'm gonna come in here as like a 5-year-old, and I'm gonna have you explain this to me as a 5-year-old, okay? Because I got two, three questions here for you. The first question I have is, what exactly is Acos and tacos? Because currently I'm getting hungry. Just listening to you talk about tacos. Second question I got for you is, you mentioned earlier something about, like, the keywords are, like you fight for the keywords, you bid for the keywords. I'm assuming that means that you actually have to pay for these keywords, right? So as you and your competitor, you like, let's just say you're selling, pens, like everyone is selling pens on Amazon, right? Like there's so many people selling pens on Amazon. Like how, like, what is the, like, what exactly are you like, going to fight for, a bid for, and how expensive is that going to become, right? Because let's just say you have a hundred other companies that are looking to, to have the word pen, on
Mhm.
there as their keyword. Are all of you paying the same rate? Are all you paying different rates so that you get the better slot than someone else? And not only that, I guess the third question, which ties into it, is like, how do you optimize it? How do you become like, so proficient in it that other people want to start, buying off of you, instead of other companies?
So with I'm gonna take question number two first. So it's really hard to know what the competition is doing. And it's very hard for the competition to know what you're doing. So it's really hard to say how much you're actually spending over there. Well, in some cases that if and here's the way to look at it. If their ads are showing up in more prominent places and showing up more times than your ads is showing up, well, 9 times out of 10, they spend a lot more than what you're spending to get that type of placement. Amazon is not going to give that type of placement out for free. So if
Right.
and there's some other things to take into consideration, like relevancy. There's a lot of things that Amazon is taking. At the end of the day, is what Amazon is doing. What Amazon is telling these algorithms to do. That's just really what's happening. So they can be spending however amount that they want to spend, but it also has to align with the mechanics of Amazon. And then
Right.
the first question you mentioned there, what is ACOS? What are some of these other benchmarks that really are used to measure the success of your advertising business? ACOS simply is just let me see, advertising cost of sale. I don't know how I remember that, but advertising cost of sale. It's simply what
It's
that
very
is because
impressive.
hold on. I,
Good job.
I
Just gonna grab my
don't know
chart
how I
over here.
remember that. But some people are like, what is that? Because when I first started this right here, about roughly 10 years ago, I'm like, what is ACOS? I mean, it sounds good, but what really is that? ACOS is simply your spend divided by your sales. Your
Mm,
ROAS is in reverse. It's your sales divided by your spend. So the ACOS is looking at how much you're spending, in advertisement dollars to your advertisement sales. Now, the other part of your question
oh,
was, what is Tarcos? Tarcos is very important as well because Tarcos is looking at how much you're spending in advertising dollars to your top line sales, to everything. That is
oh,
simply the definition of that there. So that's how you're measuring your business there. You're like, well, what is that return on investment if I'm looking at it from an advertising standpoint? You're looking at your ACOs. But if you want to look at the like where most businesses do, they're not just looking at Amazon as Amazon is a marketplace and that really funnels up to their overall business, to the overall come. So you're talking to whoever at the very top, and they're like, well, we're looking at this as a channel, and it's a channel within our organization or our company. So what they're more concerned about is that tacos, because that tacos looks at that to basically our overall top line sales for that particular channel. So that's pretty much the definition of that, and simply how you get that. Advertising is spend divided by sales. ROAS is sales divided by spend, and then your tacos is spend divided by your top line sales.
okay, cool. So, like, is this information that you're able to get on Amazon, or you have to create that information yourself?
A lot of this, and that's a very loaded question, and here's why.
Oh
Because
no.
Amazon is a good question because Amazon gives you a lot of data, a
Yeah.
lot of data. They just throw it at you got this report. You may have the SKU report. You may have the targeting report within the advertising console. You got all these different types of reports that Amazon just throws a lot of Excel data at you. But if you don't know what to do with that data or how to organize that data, then you're just left with a lot of data and really don't know what to do with it. So when it comes to that particular question, is Amazon provides a lot of this data for you, but you have to really, for me, what I did, or when I'm working on behalf of brand, I organize it in a way that works in the best interest of a particular brand. Because depending on what part of the business that you're looking at. Now, say for example, I might be looking at advertising, or I might be taking advertising data to analyze other parts of the business. That's how it works for Amazon. You have to use what you got to get where you need to go. So I will break that data down. I might want to look at it 6 months. I want to look at it a year. I want to look at 3 or 5 years back. I will break that data down in Excel in several different ways, and I'm looking at a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing I'm looking at is how is it contributing to revenue growth? How is it contributing to our profitability? And how does it contribute to the market share? Everything that every business looks like because at the end of the day, it's investment in your business. To get back to that, it is investment in your business, and you have to look at how is that investment performing. But not only how is that investment performing, but here's the fun part: what more can you do? How can you optimize? How can you improve? And that's why I love the data. I love getting into the data. I love manipulating that data, breaking it apart, building it up, and just doing all type of things with it, because you have to look at that type of data to say,
Right.
what more do I need to do in order to make this business grow? What more do I need to do to make this business more profitable? And we're talking about just advertising, but advertising data can be used for multiple things, especially as it pertains to your product detail page. Because, advertising, and I think this right here is the best way to put it. Advertising has one goal and one goal only, is to get the consumer, your customer, who is likely to buy your product, to the actual product detail page. Okay, we can see that and measure that in the forms of impressions and clicks, some other benchmarks. And then, really, when they get to that product detail page, then it's really what you have there, which is a topic for a different day. If that customer, if that consumer is going to convert into a sale, because now they done click the ad, so now it done charge you, it done spent, now they done got over there. Okay, now the part you want to do is get them to convert.
Right.
So when they get there, what you have on that product detail page is going to determine if they convert into a sale or not, and decide to go somewhere else and buy a competitive product or buy something they wasn't even looking for. So that's why it's so essential that, Amazon advertising does not live in a silo. As I was talking about earlier, it all works together, from the relevancy that Amazon's looking at, with the keywords on the detail page, to what's in advertising, and what's in advertising to what's in the on the detail page. All of it works together at the end of the day. And one of the things that the misconceptions that I see a lot in the industry is, they think, you can just go out here and spend buckloads of money and just buy sales, and just buy. So, I mean, say for example, I made this company say, hey, well, I got a $5 million budget. I'm going to spend $5 million and I want to get X amount of sales. It's not that simple on Amazon. It is more complex than that. If it was that simple, that you can just go out there and buy sales by saying, hey, every company in the world nearly will be billionaires, millionaires. But that's not the case. You have to have, just as Amazon is sophisticated, you have to have very sophisticated strategies to really work to hit the type of goals that you need to hit in order to see your business drive revenue, improve profitability, and increase in market share.
So let's end off with a good, Nick's Amazon gifts tip. All right. What tip right now can you give someone, that's going to help them with their advertising?
Continuously optimize. Optimize. Do not just leave it alone. Optimize. Now we can get into the details privately, or on a separate conversation. How you do it. There's just so many different things. When we say optimize, now that's a loaded word coming from me. Optimize is a very loaded word, and the reason why it's loaded, there's so much within that you can do. That takes having that knowledge of how to do this, how to do that. You have to analyze. You have to look at the data. You have to A/B test. You have to do these various different things, but you also have to do it. Okay, it's essentially, you have to, say for example, you already have a campaign already running and you need it to become more successful. You essentially have to fly the plane and change the engine at the same time. So that's a more of a difficult thing to do. But you have that's the business, or the dynamics of how Amazon actually runs. So
Right.
you have to be able to do things like that on that particular marketplace, because that's just how Amazon really is, and the type of things that it actually takes. And one of the things that I always tell you, you have to run 100 miles per hour just to be. That's just how that marketplace works. So optimization, improvement should be the heart of everything that you do, and every brand should want that, because the more you optimize, the more you improve, the more you grow revenue, the more you improve your profitability, and the more you increase your market share, and the longer you stay as a business and continue to grow and take care of your employees.